Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our fifth annual Big Give. As a reminder, our goal is to raise $50,000 to support our Ladder Learning Network. And our Do 15Q Alliance Board is willing to match that up to $50,000. So that's $100,000 that could go towards our Ladder Learning Network. I am so excited to introduce our next guest. This is Bo from May We Help. I found May We Help through my husband, who is working with a Challenger League, which is a special needs adaptive baseball league. And he stumbled upon May We Help, and they were able to custom make a batter box for kids who are unable to swing the bat. It is the coolest thing to watch these kids be able to participate in baseball by just pressing a button or stepping on a button and the bat swings for them, and to watch the joy on their face. So I dug into May We Help a little bit more and was ecstatic to see their mission and all the things that they can do to help our family. So Bo, why don't you tell us a little bit about May We Help and your mission?
Yeah, so I'm Bo Bramer. I'm the project manager at May We Help. We've been around for 10, 11 years, but we really started to expand in the last 2 to 3. It started as just 3 guys named Bill getting together and kind of tinkering for good on just disparate missions. They weren't necessarily, they sort of kind of knew each other. One Bill, I think his first project was actually like a proto Kindle. It was before Kindle existed, and somebody needed help reading. They were losing mobility, couldn't turn the page anymore. So he made this like podium, and it's this robotic, you hit a switch and it turns the page. Obviously that's not necessarily needed anymore with all the advancements, but we went from just three Bills tinkering in their garage to about 90 volunteers now, building custom devices for people with disabilities all around the world. So if you have some sort of mobility issue or a hobby you want to get into, whether it's a daily life task or just something you want to pick up, you can come to May We Help, and you can ask for anything. There's no there's no reason not to try, and our engineers and designers will try to come up with a solution for you. They work hand in hand with the recipients, with the families and the caregivers, and try to come up with some sort of solution for anything you can dream of. And sometimes you can't really even think about what it is that you need. You might think you need A, you contact us, you talk to some of our volunteers, and it turns out that you need B, C, and D, and we'll work with you that way.
Oh, what kind of background do your volunteers have exactly, would you say?
Most of our volunteers are retired engineers. Our average age is 56, if I remember correctly. We are now getting some younger people in. We work with a couple of high schools in the area. We actually work with an engineering program, like a after-school engineering program at one of the local high schools, and they just finished, I think, their 4th project with us. We have students from the local University of Cincinnati engineering program that come in. We work with OTs throughout there. We do a summer course every year where the OTs working in, I think, their final year of study come in and team up with our volunteers, and they do about 20 or 30 projects together. So it kind of is all over the place, medical professionals, but mostly engineers, industrial designers, and the like.
Is there one common request that you get that you find comes into you guys often?
Well, it's funny, it's seasonal in some respects. So right now is bike season. We do a lot of bikes. Everything we do is custom. Basically, I would say if you can buy it at Walmart or MedMart, we don't build it. And we do everything custom, but I mean, there are some similarities. Every person's different, every disability is different. It manifests in different ways, but there are some commonalities. So we do a lot of bikes this time of year that are replicable to some extent, and we keep a database of all of that for volunteers to iterate off of and see what we've done before. How can it be improved? How can it be modified or copied?
Is there one project in particular that you're like, this was challenging, but we are so proud of? Is there anything like that you could share with us?
there's so many. I mean, like you're saying, the batter up is one that is not a custom thing necessarily. I mean, the first one was, but now they're all pretty much the same. We do those for 2 different leagues locally, plus now the Challenger League in PA. That is so cool to get kids out that would never think that they could do something like play baseball and watch them, take a swing at the bat. But there's so many things. We have a guy right now. He's in the process of designing a robotic putter for people in wheelchairs so they can play putt putt. Actually, at the local Joe Nuck's All Miracle League, where the batter up kind of came into existence, they also have I think it's an 18-hole or 36-hole mini putt putt golf course. In we have very rudimentary putters that just kind of sit on a pendulum and swing, and release. You hit a button and it releases the putter, but that requires somebody to move the stand to different places. It kind of takes the recipient, the player, out of the action. So one of our engineers, one of our volunteers, is designing a robot that he can drive, the person can drive it up using a remote control based off of something similar to like an Xbox adaptive controller. Drive this putt robot up to the ball, and then it has a strength indicator and a button to actually actuate the swing motion. If you can't do that, if you don't have the fine motor skills, the dexterity to navigate that robot up to the putter, there's a camera on it that self-locates and drives to the ball. And so it's still very much in a prototype phase. He's probably put 500+ hours into it, but there are projects like that are extremely complicated. And there's very simple things, like we made a bike for a little girl that all we had to do was take a piece of PVC and go from the top tube and bring it up between her legs, because the disability that she had caused her legs to go inward, and when she tried to ride a bike, her knees would always hit, and she couldn't ride a bike comfortably. So we just basically put a padded shaft up from the top tube that would keep her legs from knocking into each other. So that took maybe an hour. So it really, the things that our volunteers do are amazing. They really are, and the ingenuity and the simplicity sometimes is really inspiring.
I just want to point out to anybody that's watching is that your services are free. Like when you start talking robotic putter, I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of money for a robotic putter. Like I'm sure that you guys are putting a ton of time and money into that, but you're providing those services to families for free. Like that is amazing to me. And the other part that I want to point out to families as they're listening to you talk about your projects is one of the main goals of May We Help is to give individuals independence. Like you said, that would require the person in the wheelchair to move the putter themselves. And obviously that's not going to work. So giving these individuals as much independence as possible at whatever, capability they're able to is also part of your mission, which is what I love. So you said you had some pictures of some projects. Do you want to share those to give some families some ideas of what you do?
Yeah, let me share my screen here real quick. Oh, this was a chart I had up just to give people an idea. If you're thinking you can't, how are they going to help me? They're located in Cincinnati. What's their capacity? This year alone, we've had 110 project requests just starting since January 1. And we fulfilled 67 of them already. So we're on, I think, 314 total requests overall, but project related custom builds, we've already completed 67 of them. We're constantly getting project requests in every day. We're putting them out the door every day. Sometimes it takes a couple of weeks, sometimes it takes a couple of months, but like you said, everything we do is free. All of our projects generally our purchase price, so to speak, the materials we buy, not donated, are about $90 or less. So we actually are very, very thrifty. We're really good at tinkering. We're good at finding things, people to donate stuff to us. And a lot of the stuff that we make, our volunteers don't not only donate their time and labor and, you know, skill sets, they buy the things themselves and they don't ask for reimbursement. So it really is, our volunteers, I can't say enough about them. I've been working in nonprofit for 7-8 years with a number of different organizations. I've never met anyone like this group of folks. So some of the things we built, some of this description isn't entirely accurate, but so this little boy here, he wouldn't have benefited in the same way from a traditional gait trainer. So an OT, we work really closely with Cincinnati Children's Hospital. I'm sure with people listening from all over the place, but Cincinnati Children's Hospital is number 2, number 3 children's hospital in the country every year. And roughly 20%, I believe, of our referrals come from children's. So an OT at Children's or a PT, I can't remember which, got together with one of our designers and made this cane, and it was kind of based off the idea of an IV stand, a rolling IV stand. And it looks like, well, that's a cane that seems dangerous, maybe in a way, because it's rolling, but it's not a cane in a manner of support. It's a gait trainer. It's like a mental kind of compass. So this boy was able to, it gets his center of gravity up, and it teaches him how to walk like a regular gait trainer, but instead of being surrounded by an entire apparatus, it was just this cane. It was portable. And within, what was it, three weeks, he didn't need it anymore. And we've made, I think, maybe 12 of these since then. They're a staple at Cincinnati Children's Hospital for teaching little kids how to walk. It just gives them, it's kind of, you can kind of think of it like a strider bike.
Yeah.
You know, when you, it's just it's something that helps the kids walk. I'm not even terribly good at understanding how, but the OTs and PTs love it. It's been truly successful. So that's something that, you know, was made in conjunction with a professional, like we were talking about before this. Sometimes people don't know, they don't think they want anything, or they don't know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, the gentleman that designed this, wouldn't have been able to just make this. He needed to make it in conjunction with someone. So we often work with the applicants, but also their healthcare providers, if you give us permission. 3D printed part for a bow on a violin. We actually we've done a number of things for a while. It seemed like we were a music company. We've done a number of things for I think 5 different girls that play cello with no arms in PA, in Palestine. They play the cello with their feet. And we designed and built a bass that adjusts to, you know, their height and angle that they need, so they can play cello with their feet. And one of the girls actually has won international competitions. And I was talking to her mother, who's also a music teacher, and she was saying that when they do these international competitions, the judges are backwards. They don't see the player, they only listen. So she's won competitions against, you know, people playing with their hands, with her feet. She's amazing. In fact, if you go to our website, she's featured. One of the girls, Inga, is featured on the video. But we've made those stands and sent them out to Palestine. We made a bow similar to this for a woman in the UK. One of our volunteers and our founder, Bill Sand, one of the 3 Bills, he did, I think, over 300 emails and like 15 hours of Zoom. I mean, he's very dedicated in custom making this 3D part for her to be able to handle her bow. He actually did the research to find a place in Reading, England, which was somewhat close to where she lived. He would do the design here in Cincinnati, and they would print the parts out there. And then her boyfriend would go and pick up the 3D printed part. And then she tried like 50 different iterations of this thing before she got it right. But that's the kind of dedication that our volunteers have. And that was all Bill. He put in all of that work. You know, he found the university, he found the university to talk to there. He found the maker space there that would do the 3D printing there. So dedication is
Bo, just briefly, you had mentioned your website. If there is a family interested in requesting some type of accommodation, is that how they would go about starting the process?
Yeah, so you just go to our website. This is Inga actually here. She's on the front page. And you go to, we cover everything we do a solution. You click request a solution. There's a big button here. Click here to request a solution. That same button is at the bottom of the page. Feel free to scroll down and read more about some of the things we do. And it takes you to an application.
Okay.
And you just fill this out and that all comes to me. You'll get an email from me right away. And then I will work on finding a volunteer to match you up with. The only thing we don't do is, like I said, we don't, if you can buy it at MedMart or Walmart, we won't custom make it. We don't do vehicle modifications that affect the operability or safety of it. There's so many airbags and the like. And we don't do things with stairs. We don't do home modifications. There's other nonprofits that do that. We focus on devices for people. If somebody does need a piece of equipment though, we have a massive inventory of equipment and we usually are able to fulfill about 50% of the requests that come in. So if you just need a bath chair or no braces or prosthetics, but if you need like a bath chair or a gait trainer or something like that, there's a good chance that somebody has donated it to us and we can get it out to you. Obviously, distance has some constraints on that, but we'll try to figure it out.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
And
Amazing.
if someone wasn't sure, because I think that, you know, I'm trying to think, gosh, this is an amazing company. What could you do to help make life easier for Rylan? But I'm not sure, right? Because it's so hard to navigate that. Could they fill this out and where it says, how may we help? Would they just talk about maybe a barrier that they have in every day, whether it's getting out of the bed or sitting up straight in their chair or using utensils, anything like that? They could kind of put it in there and you would say, well, let's talk about it and see if it's something that you could accommodate or not.
Definitely, and it's a long form that not the form itself isn't necessarily long, but that box, that text field is long form. So you can give us as much information. You know, if telling a story about an event during the day or getting your child ready helps illustrate what it is that you're struggling with, even though you can't necessarily figure out yourself. Obviously, if you could figure out yourself, if there was a solution, you wouldn't be coming to us. So that happens all of the time. Give us as much detail as you can. Tell us about your family, your situation. And there's actually a section on there too that you can add demonstrative photos and videos, like short clips. You can add like a 6-second video in, 6 seconds might not seem like a lot, but I mean, TikTok apparently, figured it out. So, right. It's you can tell a whole lot in 6 seconds. So if you can add a couple of photos or a short video or something, that helps us as well. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, even some of our kids, I know that they have significant seizures and they struggle with core strength. Even just being able to create something where they could sit up in their stroller straight up, where they weren't hunched over, or sit up in a bike or something like that, is something that you guys would be able to look at and say, yeah, let's figure it out. Just trying to give our families some ideas on how you could support them, because again, I just love this mission, and I feel like the things that you could help our families and our kids gain independence is immeasurable.
Well, I looked it up the syndrome a little bit beforehand. I try to keep up on all the applications that come in. It's daunting. It's humbling to see all of the different types of issues that people have in everyday life that they come to us for help with. But I try to get some basic idea of perhaps what it is that they're struggling with. I see, muscle tone is something that is common across so many different diagnoses, and we help in many ways with that. In fact, I'm not sure if this is applicable, but I noticed that there was a lack of like prominence in the nose is an early sign, right? Maybe perhaps something similar. We helped a little boy who had a tumor on his nose when he was born and it had to be removed, and he had almost no nose whatsoever, but he needed to wear glasses. So we ended up 3D printing a bracket so he could still wear his glasses from his hat.
Wow.
I don't know if that would be applicable to the same syndrome, but it's there's a lot of ingenuity and there's a lot of possibility, I think, when you sit down with our team, and we do a discovery visit with everyone that puts in an application, whether that's in person or if it's long distance, it has to be on like Zoom. We said Bill put in untold amount of hours with a young lady for a kind of like a custom brace, like hand holder for her bow. So we do have a lot of dedicated volunteers, and most of them are retired, so they got a lot of free time.
Well, Bo,
I
your
love that.
dedication is just, I mean, you're so, I mean, what a well-oiled machine that you guys have created over there. It's just unreal. Thank you so much for
No
sharing
problem.
all this with us today. Oh my God. And we encourage you to hop on their
Yeah,
website if you have an idea, or like Nika said, if you're just like, this is something my child is struggling with or my adult is struggling with, please feel free to reach out. Wow, look at this.
I know. There's so many photos on the website as well, to give you guys
And on
some ideas
Instagram,
of
if you
what
have
they're
an
looking
Instagram, you can follow the links.
Yes. Ember, if you can find their Instagram and make sure that we follow it and then post it to this as well.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bo. We so appreciate you taking the time to join us. I suspect we're going to ask you to come back for maybe an Ask the Expert or something like that, because this is just an amazing organization and there's not enough time to talk about all of that opportunities for our families to reach out. So thank you for joining us for a big give. And we have our next speaker coming up in 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing from you all.
Thank you, Bo.